What's up YouTube, this is DWS Darius and this is going to be another episode of Amazing Fish. And this week's Amazing Fish, the Cory Catfish. Okay YouTube, so right now you're looking at my two pepper Cory Catfish, one of the many different species and types of Cory Catfish. I currently keep two types of Cory Catfish, my peppers, as you see right here, and skunk Cory Catfish. Now one of the most amazing things about Cory Catfish is just that there's so many different types, so many different species. You can get so many different looks from these fish. You have your albino ones that carry that white look, you have spotted Cory Catfish, you have striped Cory Catfish, you have big jumbo Cory Catfish, you have dwarf Cory Catfish, and that's one of the things I find most amazing about these fish. There's just so many different types of these fish. You can find so many different looks from just this type of fish. It's just awesome to consider the different blends of color and shades and textures that you can find on this one group of fish. Okay, so Cory Catfish, like most catfish, spend a lot of time at the bottom of the aquarium, which is great because they bring a lot of activity to the bottom of the aquarium. Now you have a lot of other fish that like to spend a lot of time at the top of the aquarium or in the middle of the aquarium. These Cory Catfish, you can always depend upon them to bring a lot of activity to that bottom of the aquarium. Another awesome thing about Cory Catfish is just they're great bottom feeders. Now a lot of times when you feed your other fish, more than often you're going to get food that falls to the bottom of the aquarium, and a lot of fish are not willing to come that low in the tank to get food. Like my tiger barbs and some of my tetras, they won't be willing to pick food straight from the substrate, and that's when these guys come in handy. They'll clean up that substrate of all the food that's left over just to keep it from polluting your tank, and that's awesome as well. As you can see, they have the little whiskers, that's what I call them, little whiskers that they use to find food, and these fish are just great to keep that bottom of the aquarium nice and clean of any uneaten food. Another awesome thing about these Cory Catfish is just the fact that they're so active and they're not really as shy as other catfish. Now I've kept many different species of catfish in my past, and I currently keep several different species, and they do spend a lot of time hiding throughout the day. They find a cave and just stay there, and the only time you can catch them is if you sneak up on the tank at night with a flashlight. These Cory Catfish are the exact opposite. I can come any time of the day and catch these fish moving around. Now as you just saw before, they do take their breaks. However, they will get back up and move around. They won't be afraid of you if you're in front of the tank. You can always count on seeing these fish in action moving around. That's just another awesome thing about these awesome fish. Okay, so as far as care for the Cory Catfish, in my experience, these fish are just very easy to take care of. They're not really too demanding. Some of the important things you need to consider is that these fish are schooling fish, so you want to make sure you provide a decent number. Now although they won't be as tightly together as some of your barbs or tetras, they still prefer the comfort of having similar or the same species in a tank. Another thing to consider when keeping Cory Catfish is just to have an appropriate tank size. Now even though most of these species are small fish, from my experience they do prefer larger tanks. I have mine in a 4-foot 55-gallon aquarium, and they use the entirety of the tank. They don't spend their time in one corner or one portion, but I can catch them in every corner, every piece of the tank. So I think they really enjoy the larger aquarium with more space to graze and just to look for food. Okay, some other things to consider when keeping Cory Catfish is that they prefer warm tropical waters, but not too warm. I keep my tank at around 76 to 78 degrees, and I noticed that whenever my tank reaches 80 or above, these fish have a harder time breathing. So I think it's best to keep your temperature between 76 78 because that's good for your Cory Catfish, and at the same time it's not too cold for your more tropical fish that prefer those warmer temperatures. Another thing to consider is that these fish prefer well oxygenated water. They do spend a lot of time at the bottom of the aquarium, so you want to make sure you get a nice flow in your aquarium just so that they can breathe easily. As far as choosing tank mates for your Cory Catfish, from my experience, are some of the most peaceful fish out there, so you want to make sure you keep them with similar peaceful fish, just tetras, barbs, and other fish that are not too overly aggressive. You don't want to keep them with any large American cichlids or any African cichlids or any fish that have a reputation of being overly aggressive. And as far as just feeding of these fish are not too demanding. Mine eat flakes, small pellets, and even algae wafers. so they're not too demanding when it comes to feeding these fish. Okay YouTube, so that's been a look at the Cory Catfish. These fish are just very amazing because there's just so many different varieties of these fish, so many different looks, and these fish are just so happy it seems like, and just so fun to watch.